It's like, how do you make it work as absolutely good as you possibly can?
We gotta invest in a slate for real.
We could do that. Yeah, I feel like we can do that. Yeah.
We're rolling.
Sweet. So, like for instance, in motorcycle sales, I did really, really well. And the reason for that was I was tuning in to how I could add more value to the thing that they were already trying to do. So they need a set of tires for their motorcycle. Everybody needs a set of tires for their motorcycle eventually. But how can you do better at selling those tires? Pay attention to what kind of riding they do and know what product it is you're selling. And then suddenly, bam, all of a sudden you're seeing your commission go up and up and up and up and up because you're actually giving them what they want, not just letting them fend for themselves or whatever. Same is true of corporate sales. You get into corporate sales and yeah, you are selling stuff and it takes a certain amount of skill to do it. But if you don't have the kind of skills that it requires in order for you to be able to like increase your units and all, like you're not going to stay there for long, because like retail sales is like, it's always increasing units, increasing dollars, so on and so forth, and it takes skill. It's totally different though when you move outside, and kind of like you had said with insurance. Surprisingly, there's a fair amount of people that are pretty standoffish over the whole real estate transaction.
Yeah.
So you've got to talk them into paying you what a lot of people can see to be an exorbitant amount of money, and you've got to justify your value. Well, you don't need to justify your value most of the time with your... Cool. You usually don't need to justify your value with your sphere of influence. Usually they already value you.
Yeah.
It's when you go out further. So back to your initial question, why did Dalton and I start this? It was because I'm looking at all these coaching programs that are telling you got to cold call, you got to door knock, you got to send out mailers, you have to solicit. Fine. Okay, I've cold called, I've door knocked, I've done mailers. But I found that other activities that I've done, like social media and open houses and networking events, I'm having a lot less pushback. Because when I go and knock on your door randomly, how are you going to feel about that? Well, it's interrupted you.
So you caught off guard.
Right. Caught you off guard, interrupted you. You have no idea what I'm talking about. All this sort of stuff. If I cold call you, how are you going to feel about that? You don't know me. I've interrupted you. I'm asking you to do something. And why would you do something for somebody that doesn't know you? And why would you be interested in randomly selling your house if I cold called you?
Right.
Now, maybe I catch you at the right time. And you're like, you know what? I have been thinking about selling. And that's why
that's like fishing. You're putting one line in the water.
Right.
So.
Right. So then I go, okay. Not a fan of cold calling because I don't like being cold called. I am not a fan of door knocking because I don't like it when people knock on my doors. Also, you've got to be really brave to knock on mine. You went down a really long winding driveway in the woods.
You're there for a reason.
You're brave at that point, right? So then when it comes to the social media aspect, like, what you're supposed to be, what do the coaches tell you you're supposed to be? Like this professional, always on. You've got to look the part.
I've seen them. They
right?
look exhausting.
It does look, it is exhausting. So I go, and I'm thinking about this stuff. And like I said, I've been in the business about 3 years. But then on top of that, I've been messing around with real estate since I was 22. And I go, well, this isn't me. I wouldn't cold call because it's against my philosophy. That being said, I still, don't get me wrong, I pick the phone up. But I have my philosophies as to how I do it. Door knocking, there's reasons I do it. I'm very strategic in those things. But when it comes to building that persona, what am I trying to do? Well, what I've determined that I wanted to do, and what Dalton and I, it's both of us the same thing, because this is how the conversation with him and I got started was, why would you want to do anything with me at all if I'm not providing you value before I'm asking you for something?
Oh, sure.
So okay, so if we provide people value, if we're just worried about making our community better overall, is that not a better proposition than just going out and asking people for sales? Than going out and asking people if can we shoot your video for your business?
Yeah.
Why us versus anybody else? But if you start to associate us, with things that provide you value, You can start to build trust in us. You can like the things that we're delivering. And you can start to get to know us before we ever show up. That's kind of where this stuff started to come from. And then as from a personality perspective, the things that we're interested in, where this podcast got started, was like what we started talking about in the beginning, was when somebody says something to you that changes, like maybe it makes you think in a different way than you had thought about something before. Maybe it impacts you so much that you decide to put down a bad habit or pick up a new good one. That's what we felt like a lot of people are missing in their lives. Because I don't know if you're on Facebook. Well, yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
You're on Facebook, but I don't know how much time you spend on it, or TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. But how often, if you have done it, have you picked your phone up and you get on there and it's all negative, doom and gloom, or absolute trash content that you can't swipe away from fast enough? But the way it's built, it just continues to deliver you this negativity, or this look at me, or I'm bragging, or all this sort of stuff. So what another good friend of mine, who also does a lot of marketing and social media and stuff like that, he made a really, really good point to me, because he got on to me. He goes, John, why have you not been doing your social media stuff? And I'm like, because I'm tired of it. I don't like doing it. Why do I want to go scream in the void and deliver the same thing that every other real estate agent and every other salesperson is trying to deliver? Why would I want to do that? And besides that, every time I get on there, it's all negative. It's all negativity. It's all lies, misleading. Why do I want to participate in these platforms? And he just goes, John, it's really simple. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You might get drowned out, but why would you not want to deliver positivity? Why would you not want to deliver good information?
I know this realtor whose life, if people actually knew, it's an absolute dumpster fire. But the persona that is put out to the general public is this rock star, everything's going right, multi-million-dollar kind of lifestyle. But I know the truth. And I wish people wouldn't do that. That's very deceptive. And not a lot of people are capable of reading between the lines. And if you only get it 30 seconds to a minute at a time, that's what you get.
Well, that seems to be largely what most social media is. I don't know why I'm making eye contact with the camera. but social media, it's almost designed to deliver this fakeness. Yeah. And I see it impacting my kids. And then they ask me, like, if you hate it so much, then why are you on it? And I'm like, because I'm trying to change it. Like, I like just a little bit, just here and there. Somebody out there needs a word of encouragement, or needs to know that it's going to be okay today, or here's how you could potentially tackle this problem that you're dealing with. So when Dalton and I started talking about these things, we're like, well, why not us? So although some of our stuff is about business and some of it is about sales, some of it is about going to be. I think what episode are we on now, Dalton?
Must be
5
or 6.
And we have others lined up, and I know that some of them are going to be about these topics. But I think there's this theme that we're trying to get to of self-improvement, of stability, of also being tolerant. That's another thing. It's not saying that our way is the right way. It's being tolerant of these other viewpoints, considering them, chewing on them, not making a decision in the moment.
Polemics.
Right.
Well, you guys are doing a great job. I sincerely believe long-form journalism is the future. If you can sit down with an hour to 6 hour podcast, I've listened to a podcast that's been 6 hours before.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Loved
Yeah.
it. It's something that historically we haven't done. It's all been about marketing and an agenda. But if we can sit down and flesh out the truth, I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you saying that too, because what we're building here, and I think you've done some other podcasts too.
Right? I have, yeah.
Yeah. What we're attempting to build here is, in this particular project, it is long form based, and the goal is always pretty much to get us, even if we have to go out and like touch point on short form or your typical static posts and things like that, is to get it back to the long form, because the long form is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
We've noticed that already. I say noticed it. I mean, that's why it's a big reason is why we did it, but we have these guiding questions, like the stuff we're going to get into here in a minute. I don't know what he's going to add, clip out. He is amazing. Dalton is amazing
Thanks.
at editing.
Make me look good.
I will. I already got you. I can't wait to show you.
Awesome.
Something will happen. And that's part of the reason we kept it so loose was, we go, okay, we have these guidelines, but I don't have a script because there's no magic in the script. I'm not Shakespeare. But I would love to be a fly on the wall, and at a Shakespearean, production, and what happened in between the things that you've read in Macbeth. What was in between, the stuff that didn't make it to the pages.
Yeah.
And here with our long form video content, we get to see in between the pages. Like, it's just it's amazing. It's awesome. So that's not a nutshell. That's more like the whole tree. But that's why we started.
It's good stuff. I like that.
So, and I appreciate you asking. I think it's super cool that you're interested in it as well. And I like that you've done some of these others. Who else have you done?
I was on Cooking Up a Story with Aaron and Joe.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun. Those guys are a blast.
That's cool.
And I think they're on like 210 episodes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they've been running for a while.
Yeah, one day.
I've been encouraging them to take up video.
Yeah.
It's all audio, but
they're audio based.
They have a good listener base.
I think that's our opportunity and our obstacle is the same, which is video based podcasts. The production takes us more time. But we're both passionate about it, and he's fantastically talented, and I know a little bit about it, enough to get in trouble and help him set things up. Haven't broken anything yet.
Well, and recently I did one with Hunter Mays. Okay. I don't know if you met Hunter.
I haven't met him, but I think probably friends with him on Facebook.
Probably. He does Between the Dash. Does a lot of life stories.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most interesting podcasts I got to be a part of was with Hal Bradley, Dr. Hal Bradley. Very cool. He runs one called Crisis Victory.
Okay.
And people that's been in crisis events and had different issues in their life. Hal actually used to be a gun and drug smuggler for the cartel.
Okay.
Gave his life to the Lord in prison, became a hospice chaplain, PhD doctorate in prison, and help people at the end of their life. I think up to like 24 people as they passed in prison. And I think he's pushing 70 or over 70 now, but he's an older gentleman, and this has become his life mission. He actually worked for the DOJ and did some crazy things overseas. He's been kidnapped, been tortured. Just a very interesting guy.
Yeah. Wow. That's a heavy burden that he's decided to bear.
Oh, absolutely it is.
That's inspiring. When people choose to bear a burden like that.
Yeah.
That is really, that's something else.
That's part of what my life mission has become, to come alongside people that are facing terminal illnesses.
Yeah.
Right now I'm helping a gentleman that I think he's 35. He was a former bodybuilder and got diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer, and all but moved back home to do treatment and suffer through whatever is going to happen. But I just want to come alongside these people that have faced these issues like that and show them that there is hope and peace to be had when having a crisis event or facing an immovable object like this.
Yeah. Well, and that's a fantastic segue for us to actually start.
Sounds good.
The episode, which we're going to start out with really simply. Who are you?
Well, I'm Logan Terry. I guess some would call me an Ozark intellectual, or whatever you want to call it, a hillbilly, I guess. But I've been born and raised here in the Ozarks my whole life. My roots go so deep. I think my family's been here about 150 years. I've got a wonderful wife, 2 small kids, and I just desire to be a good part of the community.
And you're part of, you have a broader community than maybe some of the other people that we've done in the past, because you're part of Southwest Missouri and Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah. So we've lived in Northwest Arkansas for almost a decade, but we moved back across the line, live up near Joplin and outside of a town called Diamond, just out in the country. But I was born and raised on the Missouri side, lived down here for almost a decade.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've been part of the business community down here for almost a decade.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Where'd you go to school at?
I did my schooling up in Kansas City at UMKC, and then I worked on a PhD down at the U of A.
Oh yeah, it's like you kind of got the whole corridor
Yeah.
pretty well covered.
Yeah, just follow 49 up and down.
Yeah, like the rest of us do,
Yeah.
day in day out. That's a nightmare. But getting better as they add more lanes.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. So what do you see there? Lifestyle wise, you're here in Northwest Arkansas probably like what most of the week, right, for work, and then
I do a lot remote anymore.
Okay.
But I used to travel down every day. But things are just happening so quick. Things are rapidly changing.
Yeah, they are. They really are. But that broad community that you're participating in, are you? Is it something that do you see a big difference between that Southwest Missouri community, Northwest Arkansas community? Is it all kind
Absolutely.
of is it starting to blend together to some
Not
degree?
yet. There's
Not
a
yet.
lot of separation, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. A lot of economic disparity when you get down to it. The people in Southwest Missouri have been there forever. It's not a very transient community. You come down here, it's highly transient. What do we have, like 37 families a week moving in? It's a
I
lot,
believe, yeah,
or a day.
it's 38 individuals net gain per day.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the last metric that was, so whether the current economic conditions impact that, negative or positive is yet to be
So,
seen.
like before this, we were talking about gentrification. We're seeing a lot of things take place here that we're not seeing in Southwest Missouri. A lot of the economic benefit hasn't spilled over yet,
Yeah.
especially if you get about an hour outside. But
Right.
we do have a metroplex up there, Joplin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Joplin it's funny. We were talking about this earlier before the cameras turned on about, when we were young, if you wanted to do something here in Northwest Arkansas, there wasn't much to do. So when I was in high school, a big weekend for the boys would be going to Fort Smith or going to Joplin,
well, that is a big weekend.
right? It's like, we got to get out of here.
So our average weekend was go to Sonic and then go run around Walmart, where we grew up.
Yeah, that's how it was here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trouble at a Walmart.
Yeah, on a Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to when we got our licenses. What we would a lot of times do is we'd head north, and our goal was take back roads, which was pretty much the roads. Back then, back roads were the roads. But we would specifically look for the ones that were more curvy and fun to drive on, and we'd go to Babes, get a greasy cheeseburger.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And or Patrick's, which is still in Springdale. It was always like that was a thing to do, a drive and a burger.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it is now, where we can just decide we're going to go. There's a myriad of things that we can go do now.
Yeah, flip a coin.
Flip a coin.
Got it.
But you have to have a lot of coins.
Yeah, you would.
But I think that's really interesting because, like you've seen it, like I've seen it, this place has changed so much. I think, and for the most part, I do think it's been for the positive. I still see that, like, when you leave Northwest Arkansas and you move into Missouri, you see this really big economic difference.
Yeah, it's there.
But I also know that there's a lot of curiosity for Southwest Missouri. There's a lot of people that are looking at that. People that are either moving here to Northwest Arkansas and maybe they want something a little different. They want more land or whatever. They're looking that direction.
As cost of living goes up, people do become more and more curious.
Yeah.
But historically, like I said, it's not very transient. You do have a lot more stable communities because everyone is really invested in the community that they were raised in, that their family was raised in, and you can trace your roots back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've got family up in the don't know why I'm drawing a blank now, Neosho area,
Mhm.
but also up to why can I not Carthage?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Extended family up in Carthage. They've been there for forever. They'll love it up there, and I think you're right. Northwest Arkansas has a lot of in and out. Missouri, I go up there, and it's still usually really familiar to me.
Yeah.
Because I've been running around back when I was. Well, I always told all my friends back in high school, I was like, as soon as I graduate, I'm getting a motorcycle. I'm out of here, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
500-600 miles a weekend.
Wow.
And just ride with whatever buddies could hang on.
Sure.
For that kind of. We would be all over the place. I mean, you name it. Harrison, Roaring River, Neosho.
Well, you kept the roads hot.
Kept the roads hot. Yeah. The thing I would always drive me nuts was I was always trying to wear out my tires real evenly. Right. So I wanted to be on curvy roads, and I get real agitated whenever I would get on like a straight road forever. I'm like, I'm wearing out the middle of my tires. I was like, I got to find the first set of curves. But I mean, Missouri was a big part of that. That's how I got so familiar with it.
Yeah.
Was just running all the roads in Southwest Missouri and Northwest Arkansas. Even still yet, I mean, I don't have like an encyclopedic memory of like where every address is, but generally I can get there. I was like, hey, you turn left at that tree, you turn right at that old barn right there.
You and I are wired a lot alike. I'm the same way. Every weekend we had free. We'd throw a fishing pole in the back seat and we'd just take off. And we'd go bridge fish a lot. We'd hit whatever creek we could find, and we knew there was a creek this direction. We'd just take off, and when we got there, we got there.
Isn't that a rarity these days? You don't see it like you used to.
Not as much. I remember weekends growing up where you'd see someone at every bridge fishing.
Or swimming.
Right. And you don't find it as much.
It's not like it used to be at all. Well, moving on a little bit further, get away from necessarily what the area is doing. Let's talk about like a little bit about just you. Not necessarily. I mean, you could touch on like what you do for a living, but really, I'd really like to know more about what you would like to really talk about. Not necessarily what you do day in and day out to put crust on the table, but more what do you do day in day out that moves you forward, or that drives you.
So yeah, just to get the crust out of the way, I am an insurance agent. I work with FIG Insurance. I'm one of the partners. So it is kind of part and parcel to what I do and what drives me. I am very relationally driven. That's what pushes me forward every day. I love face-to-face interactions, and it's just a method for me to accomplish that and recharge my battery.
Yeah.
So that's really what drives my existence, is how can we better our relationship with each other?
I like that a lot. I think that especially as the world is evolving, and again, this is just an opinion. This is my own outlook. I think as technology has divided us, the way we put ourselves back together is building our relationships, getting that face-to-face interaction.
You remember the time growing up where you were excited when someone rang your doorbell?
Oh yeah.
That's how I still am.
Yeah.
I get excited that way. You mentioned your wife. Off camera, you mentioned your wife's an introvert. Mine's the same way. She'll go hide if the doorbell rings.
So does mine.
But, I grew up with people coming over to visit, and that's still to this day. That's what really, really drives me.
Oh, man. That reminds me, I was just thinking go back to, like being a kid. I spent a lot of time growing up on 3rd Street, so my great grandma's house was at. It's still there. And I remember if we had planned like a play date, if you will. That's always what everybody calls it now. Back in the day, it was like go stay with my friends or whatever, but call it a play date. We would say, all right, we're going to be there at so and so time, to pick you up for the weekend, and so on and so forth. And like, do you remember the feeling of like waiting for your friends to pick you up?
Oh my goodness, I do.
You just couldn't. Like you just could not.
About to crawl out of your skin.
Like you're sitting there, like, what time are they going to be here? Like I know they said they're going to be here at 5, but they're going to be here fast enough.
It's been 2 minutes. They haven't showed up yet. Yeah.
And every minute is it's so long, right? It's drug out so much. And now we have this like interaction needs like a lot of people will choose to interact through their phone versus going out and being with their people. And that's what's causing all the problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Even things like we think to some degree that like doing work over Zoom is some kind of other replacement. It's not. It's a good tool, but it still doesn't beat like getting together. Um, but I remember I was in a cab with a gentleman. It was in China. He spoke English, and he was talking about how the Chinese do business in his perspective. He was like, "What are we going to do? When are we going to do it? Okay, let's go have lunch. Can't do that on Zoom. I mean, I
No.
suppose you could, but it'd be kind of odd.
Yeah, it would be.
Slurping on your ramen and in front of the
Can't
Zoom
eat
screen.
chips, the microphone, and pick it
Right.
up too much.
There is this relationship that these screens are in between.
Yeah.
And although I know that everybody's gonna be viewing this through the screen, you are more than welcome to come up here on the podcast and hang out with us in real life. Because that's like we want the outreach, but we also want to connect with people for real. I know
Well,
that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and it's even more than connection. If there's one thing we're guaranteed in life, we're guaranteed suffering. Every one of us has had an experience where we suffer. And I guarantee, outside of death and taxes, you will suffer at some point in your life. And I feel as though we're called to be a brotherhood to face adversity. And iron truly sharpens iron in this case. So to come alongside people that are in a position of suffering with whatever they're doing, I think that's a great way to see character building, especially within a community.
Right. And would you say that through suffering, would you rather be shoulder to shoulder to somebody or separated by some artificial wall?
I would rather have you right there with me.
Right.
So I'd rather be right beside you.
That's not only what I would want for myself, it's what I'd want to give to somebody else.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel as well.
Because I do agree with you. I do agree that we are all guaranteed suffering, and is the nature of our existence. And we can. I suppose to a degree, we can choose to try and suffer alone. I guess if we want to, but it reminds me of a friend's passing. He so before I was in the sales and creative, like I told before real estate, before sales and creative, I was just design. I was just a designer. And I worked here in Pinnacle. And I had started to reconnect to an old friend. And as I say started to reconnect, I was not able to connect in the way that I wanted to, but we were trying. He was an artist. I was an artist. We had grown up together, Gravette schools, which is where him and I knew one another. Went to third grade together, and there in several grades. We met in third grade and went through several grades thereafter. The interesting bit of us trying to get together was we were only trying. We weren't making it happen. I did not recognize fully that he was suffering, and we're all suffering in some. I think the suffering is almost a constant, but it's in different degrees. There are things that we're all dealing with. Some things are we carry with us for our whole lives, and other things are passing. We suffer through, and it goes away. But there are other things that we suffer with permanently, and they're a part of us. And he was suffering, and I did not fully pick it up. We kept sending text messages to each other and Facebook messages. Hey, we need to schedule lunch. It'd be really good to see you. And I was certain that we were going to do it. And here's the crazy thing: I worked in an office here in Rogers. He worked 2 streets down.
Oh, wow.
Just 2 streets down. And then I woke up one morning and everybody was talking about his passing on Facebook. And I just couldn't believe it. And it reminds me of something of, it reminds me of the way that I was trying to, cope with, the loss of this person that I was acquainted with. That even to this day, he was definitely part of, my formative years as a boy. He impacted me throughout my adolescence and my adulthood because he was an artist. I was an artist. We were going through the same things. We were, even to a degree, competing with one another while we were in school. And as I was trying to figure out, here's the weird thing, and I know, and I don't even want to look, and I'm not going to look, but I didn't know what to do with it, so I sent him a message. He was gone already, but I sent him a message. I don't remember what the message said. But as I wrote something because I was trying to deal with with the loss of this person that I knew but didn't know, and it reminded me of a poem. You probably know this poem. I'm going to pull it up here. It says, and I love this poem. It's by John Donne, and it's "No man is an island. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." And I absolutely and totally felt, it's making my hair stand up on my head right now just thinking about it, the way it makes me feel.
I think there's something to be said about, to suffer by yourself is to suffer in vain. There's so many good things that come out of suffering, and whether it be a blessing that someone's wanting to give you in your own suffering, or you to offer someone a helping hand or a blessing in their suffering. But to have that community of people to come alongside and face adversity with and through, because we don't get anywhere as men when we take the easy way out. I talk about, quite often I talk about these immovable objects in our life, where we look at a way around it, over it, under it, however. But there are things that we face in our life where we truly have to face them for what they are. And it might be something that stays with us for the rest of our life and we can't overcome it. But to have someone alongside there with you while you face that object, that thing you can't surpass, is quite profound.
And I think, and I agree with you, generally when we, at least in my experience, and that's purely anecdotal, as all of our experiences, when we share our suffering, and I don't mean crushing other people with it,
Right.
but when we allow people in to understand what it is that we are suffering through, it's more so than just comfort. Comfort is there when we share. A lot of times, obviously, we know that if we open ourselves up to the wrong people, they will throw a lance. But if we are opening ourselves up to the people that we trust to share our suffering with, that comfort is also accompanied by strength to face into what you need to face into.
It's not additive; it's multiplied. What I've noticed, because 2 years ago I got a stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis, and at the time, my wife was 9 months pregnant, and I was on my deathbed, and we didn't know I had cancer. We didn't know what was going on. But fast forward to that diagnosis and some treatment, and I'm doing well, praise God. But it's amazing to see the community that has come alongside us and helped us through this. and in turn, how much richer my relationships with people are. Um, it's truly been multiplied, not additive.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So uh, that's it. And that's another good direction for us to go. Um, is tell us a little bit more about how your diagnosis became transformative to you. And not only we know that physically it's transformative. I think we know that you can extrapolate to that. But tell us about how it changed your relationships, your mindset, your goals, things like that.
Uh, so I think I was 32 at the time whenever I was fighting with this. And I still had that young man mentality where I felt like I had the world by a string. I felt like Superman.
Yeah.
I think when man's got a lot of testosterone and a lot of drive, he thinks the world is his oyster and it's there for the taking. Um, this was like a kick in the teeth, truly, to knock me down to a position where I am in bed, can't breathe, can't walk, and at the mercy of everyone else. It was very humbling, very humbling. But through this, I really realized how fragile life is and how little control I have over my own circumstances. We often think that there's a lot of free will involved in every aspect of what we do. Well, no, you're really pretty bound by your circumstances in the right context, and you can do with them what you will. Um, but I really was moved very deeply by this whole experience, and I don't know. It's just been very profound. What would you like to know about it? I'd love some guidance here.
Absolutely. And uh, I think I can. I think I can provide that guidance because to say that I haven't been touched by somebody, suffering through cancer would be a misnomer. Um, you said something that uh, as I get older, I realize to be more and more true, or I should say more and more relevant. Something's true or it's not true. In this case, true and relevant. And a good friend of mine, Clay, I'm talking to you, and you're supposed to be on this show. He always says that you only control what's up to the end of your nose. That's it.
Yeah, that's really the truth there. I was only capable of controlling my response to a situation. I couldn't control the situation. But I will tell you this: when you start to have everything taken away from you, you feel like those Chinese finger cuffs. You remember those,
Yeah.
the prizes that you
Yep.
would win? Like the tighter you pull or
Right.
harder you pull, tighter it gets.
Right.
I was in a position where I couldn't do anything of my own merit to better anything. Matter of fact, if I touched it, it broke. And the less I tried, the better off I was in this case. But it was very, very humbling for me, and it's changed how I interact with people.
Right. Right. As it would.
Yeah.
Very reliant on your community.
Oh,
And your community
absolutely.
being obviously your family, your friends, and greater community.
And it wasn't like we even had to reach out. There was just mention of something going on, and things just snowballed and progressively got worse and worse. But my parents poured into us, her parents poured into us, our church poured into us, friends that we've had for 30 years have poured into us. People we didn't even know were just showing up to help in whatever capacity possible.
Well, that's another thing that Clay says that I like, and you've said it, like you're it's out of your control, right? What can you do? Bad analogy if you're laying in bed sick, but it's still philosophically true, and it's definitely true of your community. The best thing you can do is suit up and show up,
Absolutely.
regardless of what you can do.
Well, and
Show
and
up.
that's part of the thing that really drove me to. A lot of people were wondering how I wasn't bitter or angry about the situation. I'll tell you, I'm a Christian that holds to the Reformed faith, and I don't think God owes me another breath. I'm pretty wretched in of myself. So I'm thankful for every breath I'm given.
Yeah.
And holding to that mentality that I don't deserve this breath that God has allowed me to have, but he's merciful enough for me to still have it. I praise him for that. And this cancer, deserve or not deserve, I don't think I deserve any life that's in me, and I'm thankful for it. So I had a very positive attitude throughout this, and I would encourage anybody facing anything they can't do of their own merit, have a positive outlook, or as positive as you possibly can.
Right. I agree with that. Um, the it's that the future's not guaranteed,
Yeah.
the past is gone, and the present is a gift.
Even if it's not very comfortable, it's a gift.
Right. But I think um, positivity, though, it changes so many things.
100%.
Positivity begets more
I agree.
positivity.
I agree. The more negative you are, I'm not sure you can will yourself to die, but I know you can will yourself to not live. And
Yeah. Yeah.
facing what I faced, I kind of understood that better.
Yeah.
Where you can really get to the point where you're apathetic if you wake up the next day.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right when you say show up and suit up. That goes very far.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I know these things. These things are said to me. I have to be reminded. I remind myself. Other people remind me. Um, it's really easy to think that just you're just top dog. It's all in your control. The way you want things to go or the way they will go because you will force them to be that way. I This particular episode hits me for a myriad of reasons. Lost a few people, in my family from cancer, friends from cancer. But I was thinking yesterday, uh, and I think Dalton probably knows what I'm talking about. I posted yesterday about my health. You may have seen it, maybe you didn't. But yesterday's post was me reflecting on why I am currently really fixated on my health. But there was a word in that post, and I'm finding it here because it's an important word. I posted that, why have I been obsessed with my health lately? And then I gave my reasons as to why. And that's beside the point. I wrote initially, I cannot be a burden on my family nor my friends. Then I stopped and I rewrote it and I added one word. I cannot willingly be a burden on my family or my friends because I don't control it.
That's heavy.
I was sitting there at the gym and I'm like, I don't control it. I can choose to be a burden right now. I could also be wiped out by, anything, a car walk across the street. So I could, be a burden as long as if I chose to act that way. But even if I choose to act in a positive sense, it's just my will, but I don't control it.
Oh, absolutely. And also, like, it seems to be a currency in a sense. You invest into people, they invest into you.
Yeah.
And when those hard times come, they get to really empty the bank out and show how much they love you.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean there's no money left in that bank, but you fuel it with your intentionality, with how you deal day to day with the folks that you're around.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So let's peel apart a little bit more about what happened to you or what is happening to you, because at the end of the day we're all still, it's not something that may have started in your past, but it is still something that's shaping you today. When you found out, how did that go? What prompted you to go and dig into this? Like, did you not feel well?
Well, it was a lot more profound than that. So I began having foot and leg pain, but I just started testosterone at the time. Makes you more prone to gout. I never had gout, so I didn't know what it felt like. I assumed maybe this is gout. And it just kept getting worse, getting worse. Switched foots, or it hopped to the other foot. So now both feet start hurting, both legs start hurting. Tell the doctor, he gets more concerned about it. Go in for an ultrasound. Come to find out I got blood clots in my legs. Well, fast forward a little bit. Go to the ER after things continually getting worse with a cough that doesn't go away. I got to the point where I wrapped a belt around my lungs, or my diaphragm, because I just felt like it hurts too bad with the cough. Things aren't right. End up going to the ER. Do an ultrasound there. I'm riddled with blood clots in my lungs, in my legs. It's all over. And they found a mass. They thought the mass was infection. I tested positive for an infection. So they're looking for a horse at the hospital. I'm the zebra that they're not looking for. 32 years old, doesn't smoke, relatively healthy. Shouldn't be cancer. So that's how I presented with that and showed up. And we started chasing a diagnosis. Thought it was histoplasmosis, which is a fungal infection. If you're around poultry at all, well, growing up in the Ozarks, you're around poultry all the time. And so I tested positive for histo. Start treatment for that, thinking it'll get better. We're treating the blood clots, trying to push anticoagulation. They can't ever get my blood thin, which is another sign of cancer. I had a doctor that was a great advocate for me, and he said, listen, we started this journey in November. You're now in the end of March and April. He said, we've exhausted what we can do here. I think you need more help. And at this point, my wife was 9 months pregnant, had just given birth to our baby girl. And I was actually in the hospital at the time. They moved me down a flight of one floor so I could see my baby girl be born. They checked me out of the hospital that night. I spent the night in the hospital with my wife in my own bed. We had his and her beds in her hospital room. And they kicked me out of the hospital so I could go do a PET scan, because you have to be outpatient to do that. Otherwise, insurance won't pay for it.
Okay.
To be sent up to
Yeah.
Barnes Jewish in St. Louis.
Okay.
So it was a big ordeal. And 2 days later, when I did that PET scan, I lit up like a Christmas tree. A lot of cell activity. Go up there to Barnes and do a consultation with the surgeon for a biopsy to have further confirmation of what's going on. And my wife actually received the news that it was cancer while I was still on the operating table or in recovery. So can you imagine being postpartum with a brand new baby, not even a week old, and a young kid and a husband who is actively fighting for his life? There was a lot of her
crashing down.
And I felt terrible as a husband. She's the one that had to tell me that I had cancer. After she had all the wind knocked out of her, she said she just felt like there was not enough air in the room at all after she received that news, and she had to find a place to cry. I said, there's no place to cry in Barnes. So she went and found a stairwell, crawled under some stairs, and just bawled.
That's heavy.
It was a lot. I found out very quickly how strong my wife is. I don't think men give their wives enough credit for how strong they really are.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I can't imagine. I don't even think that words would fail to describe the level of emotion that you guys must have been going through.
And it was a lot. I was kind of numb. I didn't know the severity because I hadn't ever looked into lung cancer. And I've spent a fair amount of time around medical literature and scientific literature, and I just didn't know how severe and how much of a death sentence historically it's been. Historically it'd been about 16 months. You get a lung cancer diagnosis, you're not going to make it very far. But we had just seen miracles happen with this. Like we did blood work, and blood work showed up that it was a certain mutation called ALK positive. So what had happened was, for us, the the gene controlling a certain part of development jumped on the chromosome to another location and hijacked the machinery of another gene. So my cancer, or my cells, were turned into the cell division stage and left in the on position. So that's what caused the cancer to grow. But fortunately, there's a drug that controls that.
Okay.
So currently I'm on that, and they don't see any signs of cancer. I had some miraculous things occur in the hospital and at home around this that I've gotten into in other podcasts. But really, the most amazing transformation, the most miraculous part of this whole cancer journey is the fact that I'm not the same man I once was, and my entire life mission has shifted into a very, very relational type day to day.
Yeah.
So I was very big on being able to provide for my family and work towards that for the past decade. And it's like God's kept that from me. My wife has been the breadwinner for a long time, and I've built businesses is what I've done. And when it's hard to do that when you're in a hospital bed fighting for your life.
Right. Right. So extrapolate on that a little bit. So you're still down, but you're trying
At that
to
point, yeah.
achieve. And tell us a little bit more about what that was like.
Uh, uh, Mentally conflicting, morally conflicting. Like I don't know what you're supposed to do if you can't move, but you feel like you're supposed to be doing something. You ever been in a position where you think everyone else is doing something, I need to be doing something too?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
how I felt.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh wait, he's fighting for his life. That's
not
enough.
good enough, right?
Yeah,
Fighting for your life, in your head's not good enough.
Yeah,
You should be
never
doing
really
something
clicked.
else.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I don't want anyone not looking at me thinking I'm not trying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah. Oh man, that's something. But they think how many people feel like that, even in much less precarious circumstances, that they should be. I think a lot of us we're in a situation we won't give ourselves a break.
Yeah.
We look outside and everybody else is doing something. I should be doing something too. And maybe what you need to be doing is resting a little bit. Taking care of
Yeah,
yourself a
well,
little bit.
there's something to be said about that. There's not a lot of men I know that are willing to sit down and truly face the issue at hand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll go do something productive. That's nice, but that's a distraction. And
Yeah.
this kind of forced me into a position where I had to face a lot of reality and come to realize that a lot of the busyness that I filled my life with wasn't fruitful.
Mm. Yeah. I think we spend a lot of our time, we do spend a lot of our time doing things. I mean, and I'm not knocking, I'm not saying that what a person is doing is not worth doing, but I do think we spend a lot of time doing things that are just almost what's the word I'm looking for here? It's cathartic in keeping us from doing the thing that really needs to be addressed.
It's like waiting until family comes over or friends come over to do a bathroom remodel.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go disappear and do this thing that needs done over here. I'm going to go remodel the bathroom.
Right.
Well, you're doing that to avoid what needed done with family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, here's it. And I think this one we all know to be true. Was a lot like we always say, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time for this or that. I don't, like, hey, John, I haven't seen you in a long time. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm just so busy. When we should make that time, because you don't really like I said, we're not in control. You know that as better, if not better than most people, as better as anyone at minimum. You don't make that time, there may never be the time.
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. You have control over how you respond to things. And sometimes that is, okay, would you rather have lunch at 11 or noon? And actually showing up.
Yeah, something I heard yesterday. This is not really related, but it is related in a way because I think you just kind of said it just a touch. Like we're always talking to one another. We're always communicating back and forth. We're so non-committal, right? But micro commitments can change just about anything. To say I'm super busy, but maybe we should put something on the calendar for next week. It's not a big commitment at that point in time. Put it on there. Okay, what do you think?
You've been in sales for how long?
Oh gosh, a long time. At least 15 years. Yeah.
So you know well enough that you don't ever ask someone a yes or no question.
Yeah.
That's a conversation ender.
Right.
You give them two options between the outcome that you actually want.
Yes.
Would you like this car in red or would you like this car in blue?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if we approach our relationships like that, it really does change things.
Yes.
If we say, would you like to have dinner this Thursday night, or would you like to have lunch this Friday? They are geared to respond in a manner that's going to make that commitment take
Yeah.
place.
And we can take that responsibility to be intentional with our relationships.
Yeah,
To actually, because it's a two-way street.
it is.
And
But a lot of time the people don't, or not everyone has the ability or training to make sure that that commitment happens.
Right.
We're both in industries that happens, so we can use that to our advantage in our personal lives. So that while that person might want something to happen, they might not know how to ask for it. They might not feel comfortable asking for it. They would like to see you just as much as you would like to see them, but no one ever told them their whole life that it's okay to ask.
yes, absolutely.
I think we got a generation of people that are afraid to ask for the commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, especially we're aware, we're cognizant, and we have to be, um, let's say, appreciative of the fact that we are aware and cognizant, and we have the ability that we can go out and take that first step.
It's like our house is the place where everything happens. If there's family events, if there's friend events, it's our house. But we've opened it up and geared our whole life around that. And I've thought, why is it our place that is the place that entertains so well? Is it the way it's set up? Is it because it flows? Is it just the biggest place to make it happen? And the answer is no to all of that. But we have made a very intentional effort to make ourselves available for those things. And I think I realized that not everyone either grew up or has been geared towards, hey, we're going to host this, or not everyone's comfortable with that. And it shows up in their day-to-day interactions. So let's grab it by the reins and make it happen.
As we should.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if the cameras were on at the time when we were talking about it, but you and I both share the fact that we lost the matriarchs of our family. And with that loss of the matriarchal head of the family, and does that not fly in the face of gender roles when you look at the pyramid of your family and who's at the top of it? For me, it was a female. And it sounds like it was for you as well. I think it is for a lot of people.
When it comes to the relational things, most definitely.
Right.
So it's very, at least it's been in my experience, it's been very rare that the patriarch is the tie that binds.
Yeah. Right. So we lose that tie, and things start to fall apart. Well, then how much more important is it to be intentional with our relationships at that point?
Very intentional, very important.
Because like you, I do the same thing. I don't do it well, but it is to try to put things together at my home. Not because it is the right fit, but because I want the people to be together. My family, my friends to be together. And I'm attempting to bring those loose ends and tie them. Ill-equipped, but I'm trying. So, it's less so much is it less so much the performance and more so the intention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
So you had kind of touched on it earlier, and kind of a little bit more focused. A mission came out of your experiences, and You and I crossed paths totally randomly, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what Facebook page it was on. Was
I
it?
think it was Dad's of NWA.
Love that page.
I do too.
Yeah.
Joe does a good job with it.
Yeah, it's a great page. Have you been on the the moms of NWA?
I've heard it's a nightmare. Yeah. And my wife followed it for the drama, but
Yeah. Well, us dads are holding it together. But it is a good page, and I think you had posted. I think it was
I
your
did,
post,
yeah.
and that's when I reached out, and we were gearing up to do more. I'm like, hey, I don't know what we're doing, but let's do it. And that is the truth to it. Is we don't we don't really have a specific plan. We're not specifically talking about finance. We're not specifically talking
Sure.
about health. But we are specifically getting to know people, being intentional with our relationships, trying to be anyways. So tell me a little bit more about your mission, because you, from what I can tell, the outreach that you're doing, you have one.
Yeah, it's morphing and growing pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The thing that has really driven me with this is I see a lot of people just truly going through life on autopilot. And that's not how I'm wired, and it's never been how I'm wired. And I feel like, you ever feel like sometimes you're the only one that looks up at the sky and sees the rainbow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I really want to come alongside people, especially when they're suffering, facing a terminal illness or a crisis event truly, and try to point them to the silver lining. And if they've only got a little longer to live, why do you want to live bitterly? Okay, so what? Life's dealt you a hand that you don't think is fair. Well, guess what? Nothing is fair.
Right.
It's not fair. If you wanted fair, we'd all be into the ground, all dead.
Yeah. But at
So-
the end of the day, it's ultimately that's as fair as it gets when it's all said and
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So you really don't want fairness. You would prefer mercy,
Yeah.
and let's work with that. What is it like to have a terminal illness or a diagnosis that may not bode well? Theoretically, I've only got 6.8 years to live after that diagnosis. I'm already 2 years into that. So I'm going to have the best run I can possibly have here. But I really do. I want to come alongside, especially men that are facing issues like this, because men don't know how to suffer together. What do? We do like dogs, and we crawl off and lick our wounds.
Yeah.
They talk about the man flu. Yes, he wants to be heard, the loudest one in the room when he's sick, but wants to be left alone at the same time. And you face a crisis like this, truly, we would rather crawl off and die than burden others in many ways. But it's not a burden. I want to demonstrate to people that you suffering is not a burden. People want to come alongside you and show you love in your suffering and make it the best it can be. You don't know what kind of blessing you can leave someone with if they come alongside you when you're suffering. It's a great opportunity just to build your relationships. So that's been my goal, been my mission, and it's been a big blessing to me. And I've gotten to the point where I get to talk to cancer patients every week that are facing either something small that can be taken out and not a terminal diagnosis, all the way up to the point where they've only got a few weeks left to live. So it's been an incredible opportunity.
And you're passionate about it.
Very much so.
I can tell. Not just because we're sitting here talking about it. I can read it on your face.
Yeah.
And I think it's noble. And I don't say that. I'm not saying that to make you feel any sort of way. I'm saying it because I think a lot of what you said about suffering in general, but men, men can be so hard to one another, especially to one another. Passive, and it just internalize it, and we
Yeah, I'm gonna bottle this up and die with it,
right.
and it'll be okay. But I'll be bitter till the end. But I'm gonna die holding this in, so you don't have to hold on to it.
Right.
We don't need to do that.
No. And it goes back to, I think, what we said earlier. How, what are you going to make somebody else bear? Because it's like you don't, like I said earlier, no man's an island, nor a woman. What are we putting on other people?
And no one picks up your suffering involuntarily or involuntarily. They pick it up because they want to come alongside you. You don't cast it on someone. It's not like a backpack I can just put on your shoulders.
Yeah.
They have to pick it up.
Right, and how many times have you seen that? And that's a question with no answer, but you've seen it countless times, really.
Yeah.
In your friends and your family, they choose to be alongside you if you let them, and even if you don't let them, do they not still yet choose?
Yeah.
It's so if we were to take that mission, and we were to say, if you had a goal in mind, like what's the achievement there? Not that you need an achievement per se, but
sure.
what's the what do you really aim for the outreach to do writ large? What would you like to see people do?
And so there's a couple avenues that I want this to go down. I'm looking for speaking engagement opportunities and podcasting opportunities to bring this to light and make this more aware. Hospice serves its own purpose, and it's phenomenal at what it does. But this is a very specific aspect of suffering that especially men need help with. And I'd like to raise awareness by using our story and what we've gone through with this to bring light to the issue that a lot of people are facing.
Bring it to be a more acceptable thing to deal with.
Yeah, very much so. But in addition to that, and I haven't started the paperwork yet, so I don't know if this is the correct route we're going to go or not. I have looked into doing a nonprofit to help fund this, but if it's gonna run, it's got to learn to walk, and if it's gonna walk, it's got to take money.
Right.
But I'm not sure the route we're gonna go exactly. But any chance we have to bring light to this and come alongside others that are facing the issues that they're facing, that's the goal.
Yeah.
I want to help bring enlightenment to people.
I think it touches on some of the other things that we've talked about in other episodes, and I think there is a complexity of humanity. I think that modern society seems to want to glaze over,
Sure.
and there's the fact that we are still, for lack of a better description, I mean, at the end of the day, we're meat machines. We're organic. We are these. We're not the polished things that we present to one another on social media. We're not. We're even at our the pinnacle of human physicality. We are not perfect in any way, shape, or form. So getting real about the problems that we all face, physical, mental, emotional. I think that is where the power for us to get better. And I don't mean I don't mean get better in a cure-all sort of sense, but to get better with one another.
Well, relationally, that's where it's at. It's in the imperfection.
Right.
I don't like you because you're perfect. I like you for who you are.
Yeah. You don't choose your friends because you found it perfect.
No.
Most of the
time we choose our friends because they're not perfect.
Yeah. It's something you got in common with them.
Yeah.
And this sort of we only want people to see us a certain way. Is inauthentic, and it's also delivered to us. It's shoved down our throat. This is the way we need to be. Whereas I feel like the way we need to be is, ourselves as best as we can. Be the same way, if you find me on whatever platform, I would hope that you at least get some semblance of how I am if you were to find me at Walmart or wherever I'm at. And I would imagine that you'd be the same.
I've used the phrase quite often: "Is your Saturday night the same as your Sunday morning?" And I want my life to reflect that. Where if you meet me in person, You see the same persona as you would find online.
Yeah.
I'm not selling anything that isn't real. I am who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. I like that. Well, does that not tie back into what we were talking about the last? We haven't dropped it yet, I don't think, but the masking episode. We'll try that right back to that. That'll be fun. Um, the that was just me and Dalton going off on a tangent. um, so uh, there's so much here, and and a lot to think about. But trying to kind of bring us back down. You know, to an actionable standpoint, what is something that you would like people to know about you or your mission that they up until now, or or maybe they just haven't seen, that you would like them to know? In in It can be anything. You don't have to dig super deep on that, but if they were to run across your story, or run across like the overall mission, what would you want to deliver to them?
I'd like for them to know that I'm accessible. Because, in business, we all say, hey, I got a guy.
Yeah.
If I, like in this case, is someone always knows someone suffering. And I'd like for them to be able to approach me and say, hey, I have someone who is fill in the blank. Because we're not meant to go through this alone. But I would like to empower that person that said that to be able to say, I can come alongside my friend that is suffering and help them. So I would like to be in a position where I can help educate and empower people to come alongside their friends and comfort in the way they need to comfort, and know that it's okay to be vulnerable and real with each other.
So, barring your circumstances that you went through before or since, is there a core reason why you decided to stay here instead of all the other places around the U.S. or otherwise that you could go either pick up the cause or chase a career? Why here?
This is home. This is the community that I am a part of, have been a part of, my family's been a part of. Start your mission work at home.
Yeah.
Truly.
Okay.
I say it often, the trash needs taken out no matter who does it. If there's work to be done, if there's work to be done at home, you go ahead and do it. And this is where I want to make a difference.
From, kind of, we circle around, we touch back on, kind of how we started, with when the cameras got rolling. We talked a little bit about, the area, how it's changed, so on and so forth. But one of the things we didn't talk about was how people that are from here, that have chosen not to leave, obviously, but a lot of people that are from here are very, and I say here, I'm talking regionally here, the Ozarks, very passionate about this area. And you are, I think I am, and I have left, moved away, and I came back. And it's odd to me because I really don't. Granted, I'm 38 now, so I really don't spend a lot of time thinking about like what moving away from here would look like. For all the pros and the cons of this area, I do like it here, and I find it really easy to justify hanging out, seeing where this place goes. Other than traffic, pretty sweet for the most part. I probably deal with traffic more than your average person, but
Sure.
um, I like it. What about you? It's like you said, you're already. It's just like, if there's something to do it at home. Do it at home. But like when you see this place going along, you see growing, like taking care of your family here and doing good things, community outreach. Do you feel like this very supportive of it, receptive to it, and how do you feel about that?
Well, we used to joke, and I've said this for a long time, like Southwest Missouri is a black hole. I don't know how many people historically say, yeah, I'm going to leave, and they try and they come back.
Quite
But
the gravitational pull.
yes, yeah, gravity's pretty heavy. But all jokes aside, like the sky's the limit with what this can be, and with the sheer amount of people moving in to Northwest Arkansas, there's a large mission field here.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, I want to see this regionally and nationally and potentially internationally, but home is just fine, and there's a large number of people that I can really connect and relate with, because my day-to-day interactions are here. So yes, I've gotten to help people across the nation, but that's through interactions that I've developed here.
Good springboard.
Absolutely, it's a good place.
A lot of creativity, a lot of activity. I like in particular, it's always easy to get caught up in the new and the shiny and the great and the trending and all that sort of stuff. And I love that you're so driven by tackling something that may not be seen as shiny, trending. Like you've got a mission there that can really impact a lot of people.
Yeah,
in a very positive way.
I hope so.
I think so.
I feel hopeful about it.
I've getting to come in and spend time with you today. For one, because we don't script anything, no idea what we were going to get into. I knew vaguely, and intentionally wanted it to be vague. But getting to spend time with you here today has been a real blessing. And I really appreciate you not only taking time, but driving.
I've really enjoyed this.
It's been a ton of fun for us. If people want to know more about what you're doing, how can they get in touch with you?
So right now they can get a hold of me via Facebook or Instagram. Look up Logan Terry, or I think my Instagram handle is loganterry.9.
Okay.
But
we'll drop those links.
Please drop the links, but preferred is probably email. So hit me up at lterry@loganterryagency.com.
Fantastic. And we'll drop that down there too.
Thanks, man.
Well, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us here, share your story, share your mission. I hope we can do more of this with you as we go forward. I'd like to check back in with you, see how things are going. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we pop off of here?
Man, we've hit a lot of it. I'm just very thankful for the opportunity to get to chat with you all today. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Awesome. Well, pleasure's been ours as well. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Time.